Welcome to Mini MuggleCast. We don't have too many of these. It's a mini episode. We're your mini ride into the wizarding world today. Eric and Micah here. Hi, Micah.
Hey, Eric. Happy Sunday. We don't do too many of these Sunday recordings either, so...
I know. Felt like waking up and I was just like, fine day, Sunday.
No post.
No post, but MuggleCast. No post, just podcast. So tell me about this recent journey you went on. I know we previewed it on last week's MuggleCast, but let's hear it from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, so earlier this week, I got the opportunity to go to Harry Potter the Exhibition here in New York City. It is being housed in Herald Square, which is really the heart of Midtown. It's so easy to get to from so many different locations. If you're familiar with New York, you come in either to Penn Station, it's literally a 5-minute walk away, Grand Central Station, probably like 10 to 15 minutes, depending on your pace. So you're really in the heart of New York City, a great location for them to be at. And it opened up on Friday, May the 19th. Had to do a little bit of math there looking at my calendar. I got a chance to go on the 18th. They did a media session in the morning, and then they did a VIP session in the evening. And so I took the opportunity to check out both. And I also got the opportunity to sit down with Tom Zaller, who is the president and CEO of Imagine Exhibitions, the man responsible. He, of course, has a team working with him, but responsible, I believe, not just for this exhibition here in New York City, but for the one that is currently overseas in Paris. It was in Milan previously. This exhibition was in Atlanta, and then it started in Philadelphia. So it's making its way around the US. It's making its way around Europe. And we're going to talk a little bit about this later, but he told me that they're going to expand. So there will be 4 touring exhibitions. They're going to add one in Asia, and they're going to add one in South America as well.
Wow.
I gave you a lot of information there.
Yeah, no, real talk. This is good. You're hitting all the bullets. How you said you've been twice, right? Because you went for the press and one like earlier in the day. And did you walk through the whole exhibition twice?
I did.
Okay. How does this differ from the Harry Potter exhibition that has been touring the world? Obviously no Phelps twins at this one.
Correct. There were no Phelps twins that popped up. I was expecting it. You know, they're at the opening literally of everything Harry Potter these days.
Yeah.
But it differs, I think, in a lot of good ways. And the first off is you can take photos. And I joked with Tom about that in the interview. Going back to the one, I want to say, I think on the show I said 2008, 2009, but it was in New York in 2011.
Yeah, it opened in Chicago. I know Tom in his interview says he visited in Chicago when it opened. It was at the Museum of Science and Industry, and they took over like a whole wing of the museum for it. In 2010, of course, we saw it together, I think, at one point in New York, but I remember the Ford Anglia coming out the side of the building.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was at a place called Discovery Times Square, which I don't think is there any longer. Discovery had a place where you could do exhibitions, and Harry Potter obviously took advantage of that. But I will say the biggest thing is the interactivity aspect of this, as you would expect in 2023, much more immersive than what it was back in, let's say 2011. And I think one of the keys, and Tom mentioned this in the interview, and it's one of the things that I really like, is that there is something for every Harry Potter fan, which is so important because you're going to have those that are coming in who are just your casual fan. You're going to have kids. And then you're going to have folks like us who are, more of the diehard fans. And I think that everybody will really be satisfied with this. And the way that they laid it out is really well done. It's easy to walk through. And I think that people are going to have a lot of fun.
Well, I obviously have very specific questions for you, but I don't want to delay before hearing this interview. This Tom seems like a really good guy.
He is.
It's a good conversation. So we will play that now. Also, minor disclaimer, if you've ever been to a Harry Potter exhibition surrounded by other Harry Potter fans, there are gasps and ahs and, in some cases, very small children screaming. We've done our best in this audio to remove it, but it could not be avoided, I guess, when you guys did this interview.
The way I would position it as you're getting an authentic experience. This is what it sounds like when you are live at an event.
Yes.
And there's a million different things going on around you. I will say they were putting the finishing touches on the exhibition as well when I was there talking with Tom.
Oh.
And it was funny because we were trying to find a quiet spot. There really is no quiet spot to go to.
No.
But we did duck into a Ministry of Magic phone booth to do this interview. So he was joking that this is the first interview he's done inside of a phone booth. So it was very cozy, very casual. And as you said, Tom was great. He's definitely a Harry Potter fan, and he cares a lot about his work. He's done exhibitions across the board. We're talking Hunger Games, Titanic, Jurassic World, Angry Birds. He's done it all. And he's done it all over the world. And you can tell he really, really cares about this. This is something he was really looking forward to working on, and did an amazing job bringing it to life.
Okay, we'll hear from him, and then we'll be back so I can press you on all the rooms and all the experiences.
Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Here we go. Interview with Tom Zaller.
All right. Well, I'm now joined by Tom Zaller, who is the CEO of Imagine Exhibitions, who has put on the Harry Potter exhibition here in New York City. Tom, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
We're happy to have you. And one of the fun things that we do on the show is we get our guest fandom ID to start. So curious if you can just give me your favorite book, favorite movie, your Hogwarts house, and your Patronus.
I think I might be a little boring, but I mean, I fell in love with it all from the first book and the first movie. I probably because I read it to my son and watched it with my son, and that was my intro. And probably still boring that I'm a Harry Potter fan. And my house, I have been sorted twice.
Okay.
And I have been sorted both in Ravenclaw and Gryffindor. So I'm one of those.
You're a hat stall.
Yeah. And I am wearing a Gryffindor coat right now.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, we actually make 90% of the merchandise in our store here is all bespoke from us, so you can't get it anywhere else in the world. So this is the Gryffindor, what do they call this? Like a Leatherman jacket sort of thing with our golden snitch on the sleeve. And so I go both ways, but I'm.
I was a hat stall between Ravenclaw and Slytherin, so, but I default to Ravenclaw. I was disappointed when I got to the end. The house points for Ravenclaw were pretty low.
It's almost always Gryffindor and Slytherin who are in the lead, and then it varies between which day of the week it is, if it's Hufflepuff or Ravenclaw.
Okay.
I don't know why that is, but I guess
Okay.
It is.
And do you have a favorite character?
Harry Potter's my favorite character.
Okay.
I know there are so many great characters. It's like people ask me what my favorite room in this exhibition is. It's like, it's my favorite, it's like asking me who my favorite child is. I love all the stories are so rich and so awesome that I could go on about each and many different characters, but Harry's my guy.
All right. So how did the exhibition come to life? I saw on LinkedIn, you have a lot of exhibition experience. You've done a lot of cool things in different fandoms. How did this one in particular come to life? And I say that because, there was an exhibition going back probably about 10 years or so.
Yep.
But this one is just amazingly immersive. It's a lot of fun. So I'm curious how the idea came back to do it again.
Well, thank you for that. So first of all, my company, we Imagine Exhibitions, we create immersive experiences, museum shows, attractions. This is what I've been doing all my life. Well, I've been doing it for 25 years. I cut my teeth on the Titanic exhibition. Also super immersive, recreating rooms and telling stories. And that's what we do. We tell a story in a three-dimensional way, right? So I've done lots of different exhibitions from, as sort of in franchises, whether it's I built a Jurassic World exhibition, I built a Hunger Games exhibition, an Angry Birds exhibition, a Downton Abbey exhibition, a Titanic exhibition, and like hundreds of other different, exhibitions of science and natural history and dinosaurs and whatever. So Warner Brothers called me after that exhibition you're talking about that a lot of your fans probably are aware of, was called Harry Potter the Exhibition. It toured for 10 years. I know the people very, very well who did it. And I actually was one of the hosts. I built a museum in Singapore called the Art Science Museum, and I was the director, and I hosted the exhibition. And I saw it in New York both times, and I saw it in Chicago when it first opened. I know the people really well, and so I'm very familiar with what that was. And so when Warner Brothers called and said they wanted to do a different exhibition, I was like, absolutely. Because to me, this is like in my little world, which there's not a lot of people in my world. This is like the holy grail to me, was to get the opportunity to work with a brand like Harry Potter and to tell these stories in this immersive way. And so I've got 25, 30 years of success and mistakes. And so I kind of, when I thought about what could we do, I felt like we could do this so well because the root of it, the story and the media and the visuals in it and the story is awesome. So we went about it, step by step, and worked with Warner Brothers and picked props and costumes and then picked out the different rooms and added that layer of technology in there that really, I think, really also helps bring it to life.
Yeah, I would say the interactive component of it is really cool. The wristband, scanning at different places, getting the opportunity when you come in, you get to choose your house, your wand, your Patronus, but just the thought process behind, I think, thinking at it from the perspective of a Harry Potter fan. That's what it seems like you did here.
Yeah.
And just there's so many cool stops along the way that I was really blown away by it.
So, and hopefully you, as a more than the average fan, let's say, we had to do something. This is a mass appeal experience, right? We're in New York City. We're also open in Paris. Like, we're in big cities around the world. So you're going to have your entry level fan, and you're going to have your middle of the road fan, and you have your super fan. So you have to satisfy everybody. So it's the little subtle things that other people won't notice that the super fan will, that satisfy the super fan, and we have to think about all the other things in the world that have been done, but what can we do differently? And so I think the technology layer that we added that's underneath all of this with the wristband you're talking about, where like you see your face pop up and we know you're a Ravenclaw, and it's like, that's pretty cool, like that they know that. And then later, what you don't know is you'll get an email and all your memories that you created today will be shared with you. And that's a takeaway that doesn't cost you anything. It's like, now I can share my moments that I have. We want it to be great,
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I really like too is the note cards that are there. It's not just describing what a costume is or a prop is. It gives you even a little bit more of background information. Right. I think that's what you're talking about when you say sort of the super fan. You get even deeper insights of how something was created, right, or something along those lines.
And that's what we sort of bill ourselves as, right? What makes us special and unique is that we have original props and costumes from all of the films, from Fantastic Beasts films, from Cursed Child. We have all of it here. It's all represented. And then we also have this behind the scenes content, and we talk about what choices were made, why costumes were done the way they were to represent what part in the fandom, right? So it's not just so-and-so designed this thing. It's like, did you know that the layers of Voldemort's robes changed movie by movie and layer by layer, and what the deeper story is for those who want that, right? We want to give it to everybody. We want to let the new fan take a picture at the cover under the stairs. But we also want to satisfy everybody. And I think we've struck a really nice balance and have been able to use all kinds of new technology and old, tried and true technology that can deliver the show.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned the photos, because that's something we often joke about when we talk about the prior exhibitions. They didn't let us take photos.
It's crazy.
But I don't remember if that was maybe because the last movie hadn't been out yet, so they were showing us things that maybe weren't too public. But we've got a lot of great photos and videos in here. You talked about Fantastic Beasts and Cursed Child. How important was that to add to the exhibition?
Well, particularly we keep talking about the super fan, and obviously the program we're talking about, you're not just a casual fan if you're listening, right? So, I mean, what I was surprised at were the number of people who didn't know about Cursed Child. Because also it's an expensive ticket. It's a Broadway show, but it's a part of the world, right? And a lot of people haven't seen all the Fantastic Beast films, right? So we want also make sure they know about this continuing story. And as we know from recent news, the story is going to continue.
Right.
And so I think we want to incorporate the complete story. We bill ourselves as the most comprehensive touring exhibition about Harry Potter that's ever been done. So we have to live up to that. We couldn't leave it out. Yeah. And luckily for us, the Cursed Child people have been incredible to work with and really great supporters, particularly here in New York. And it's their anniversary now this year too, 5 years.
Oh, wow.
So like we're collaborating with them, and we want to tell the whole story.
Has them kind of condensing down to one show allowed them to like provide more maybe than they otherwise would from like a proper costume standpoint?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. I don't know, but the new show is amazing. I saw it last year. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Awesome. Who decides props, costumes, sets? Like, is there a team behind that decision?
Yeah, we have a great team. I am the owner of the company, and I'm I think the dreamer and the visionary for a lot of things, but I have, hundreds of people work on this, right? And both at Warner Brothers and in my team and in third party, designers and AV producers and audio engineers and scenic painters and, carpenters. And, there's a massive team of really talented, important people, that made this all happen. But like when we do a final choice about, do we do this room or that room? I have a strong say in it.
Was there one in particular that was yours and you said, I really want to see this come to life?
There's two that I really fought for. One, and they're two different stories. The one that I really wanted to do on the drawing board that I was most excited about was the Great Hall. And the way that we did the Great Hall, nobody's done before. And I'd never done anything quite that way, where you're layering together the physical world and then a double screen to create this feeling as if I wanted the Great Hall to transform between floating candles and pumpkins and owls and the Yule Ball and feast. And we were able to do that with media in a way that's never been done before, that I thought was really cool. So that was very exciting for me. The other one is really, really simple. And I think it's one of my favorite moments in the whole experience. And you don't expect it. It's when so we started in an introductory theater, and when you leave the theater and you walk into the next room, there's all the walls and the floor is Marauder map.
Yeah.
And you don't know it, then you have your wristband out. Yeah. You go and tap your thing on the side, and your name popped up on the wall.
Yeah,
it's like
that was the coolest moment.
Oh my god! Yeah. It's like because you don't expect it. It's not complicated. And I think those are some of the best things in life I've ever had. The simple things, that aren't gizmos and widgets, but are just cool.
Yeah, and those diehard fans are going to really appreciate it. Whether it's like seeing your face in one of the divination crystal balls or the pensive. Yeah, I just think overall it's just such an amazing job that you all did.
Oh, thank you. Well, we're very proud of it.
So just kind of a closing question. We're here in New York. I know it's been in Atlanta and Philly, and then there's an international version currently in Paris. Yeah. Is the plan to continue on beyond, and how long do we anticipate it'll be in New York? Because I'm sure a lot of fans listening to the show and travel plans upcoming over the summer will be in New York. And I think it's definitely it should be on the list of go-to Harry Potter things, in addition to the store, which isn't too far away either. So,
yeah. So we have a North American version, which is here in New York. It's a limited engagement. I'll tell you, it is here through summer. I don't know exactly how long it'll be here. I'd love for it to stay there forever. I know it's not going to. Right. But I know I'm here through the summer. So I would say if you got summer travel plans and they're involved New York, go now, because the store is going to be here forever.
Fair point. Yeah.
So I think that is important enough. So this will continue to tour. The show that's in Paris now opened in Vienna. It did extremely well in Vienna. It's doing incredibly well in Paris. It'll be in Paris until October, and then it goes on a European tour. We're building another set for Asia and another set for South America. Oh. So those there'll be 4 total touring versions of this show. And all will be similar in nature, but of course they'll all have their own unique props and costumes. So technically, if you're really a super fan
You're
You're going to need to go to all of them.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So what that means is, good travel for people that get to go all over the world. Why not let Harry Potter be your muse to travel?
Yeah. Absolutely. That was actually going to be one of my other questions. Is there things that are unique to the different cities that...
Yeah. And like here in New York, we added a little moment for for Fantastic Beasts. As you saw those subway tiles coming up after you left by the Time Turner. That's a cool moment. And as we, as we evolve, we plan to do this for many years. There'll be other things that happen in the franchise that we hope that we can continue to incorporate, because we want to be the go-to comprehensive touring exhibition. It's the biggest touring exhibition ever done on Harry Potter. It's cool, right? And if you can't get to, like, London is its own thing, Orlando is its own thing. Like, we all have our own space. But I think this kind of incorporates it all. I'm really proud of it.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us. And we're definitely going to be telling our listeners to come out here and check it out.
Right on. Come on. Let's get out of here.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
And we're back. What a nice time.
Yeah. For being in a phone booth, it was a great time. And like I said earlier, you could just tell how passionate he is about this project, how much he cares about it. And I'm excited to also just see where this goes beyond New York City.
He had me when he said his favorite character was Harry, honestly. That it's such a bold choice.
It is. It's a bold choice. And I think a lot of people shy away from it because they feel like it is too easy of an answer to give.
Yeah.
But he backed it up.
He did. So tell me what this place looks like. Now, I heard of the Great Hall. I actually see the Great Hall because as we're doing this, you've shared some of the promo photos. Kind of a hybrid between room size and screens. What did that feel like going into? Obviously, do you start off in the Great Hall?
No, so you actually start off, you're given a little wristband, which I assume is probably some kind of RFID technology.
Yeah.
And when you get in, you scan it at a little kiosk and you choose your wand, your Patronus, and of course, your Hogwarts house. And these are important as you go throughout the experience. Having that little RFID bracelet is important throughout the experience because at different points, you do different activities that earn your house points, which you will see at the end of the experience. So for myself being in Ravenclaw, I felt a little bit lonely because when I got to the end of the experience, I felt like I was the only one that was earning Ravenclaw points. And I think Tom alluded to this, like Gryffindor and Slytherin are very heavy in this experience. For the most part, Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw straggle behind a little bit, which isn't unexpected, but I'm curious when it really opens up to the public, if we'll get a little bit more balance there. But yeah, that's your first essential stop. And then you go in, there's a green screen, you can take some photos. And then after that, it's just room after room of immersive experience. There's a house room, so you can go to different houses and you can walk through, and they have costumes from the characters that were in each of those houses. So that was very cool. And then it's really by class. So herbology, defense against the dark arts, divination. And then as you kind of work your way through to the end, there's more of the dark arts experience. And it's also worth calling out, Cursed Child is represented, Fantastic Beasts is represented. So
yeah, that's my biggest wish for, because it's in New York and Fantastic Beasts is very in New York. I mean, what percentage would you say of the exhibition was Fantastic Beasts, and what was it? What was there to see?
I would say more than I expected. Somebody asked me this question before we went through the VIP reception, and I actually had to think the percentage of Cursed Child and the percentage of Fantastic Beasts. Fantastic Beasts actually probably works out to maybe between 15 to 20% of the exhibition. Mm-hmm. Cursed Child is probably somewhere around 5%. And then I would say Harry Potter is 75%.
Yeah. I mean, given 8 films, that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
across 8 movies.
And the exhibition did a really nice job with Fantastic Beasts. When you're walking through, and I am blanking on the name of the beast, is kind of popping its head outside of a subway wall. And the subway was a nice nod to the fact that this exhibition is taking place in New York City. But of course, the first Fantastic Beasts film was in New York City as well. There are costumes from Credence, Queenie, Newt, and there's actually a section too where you feel as if you're inside of Newt's suitcase because it's all dedicated to the different beasts.
Okay.
There's a Makusa reference. And one of the wands that you can choose is Grindelwald's.
Oh.
Though I did find it interesting, there was no representation of Grindelwald at all in the experience, nor the Jude Law version of Dumbledore.
That's interesting. I also think, I mean, maybe those rights are being reserved. maybe there's something building between Jude Law as Dumbledore and Grindelwald. Let's start the rumor here, because what is a mini MuggleCast without rumors? But for me, I would love to see Graves's costume. I remember from the first Fantastic Beasts film that being very like awesome, this long flowing kind of suit looking thing that Colin Farrell wore. But okay, so then as far as the room dedicated to beasts, were there actual, like, I don't want to say animatronics, but what like, here's another thing, I guess, overview question. Again, percentage is the easiest way to do this, but what percentage is costumes versus props versus photo stations and like the interactive elements?
Wow. Okay.
No, I only asked because, you know, like going back, the exhibition when it originally came out, and I remember being so shocked by no photos, please. But it was largely costumes with very, very, very few, like the props that you would see were maybe empty Mina Lima boxes and like the jewelry, like the diadem and some of like the maybe like the Horcruxes were in a corner somewhere. So I remember it being very costume heavy.
Yeah, I will say it is fairly costume heavy from the standpoint of the houses that I mentioned earlier. So when you're able to walk through Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, Slytherin, a lot of what you see is in fact costume specific, right? And there are props that are included alongside those costumes. And I think one of the other really neat things that they did at this particular exhibition is these note cards. And these note cards aren't just descriptions of what you're seeing. It goes into a lot more detail. So it gives you a sense of how something was created versus just saying, this is the costume of Bellatrix Lestrange.
Yeah. Are you talking about like materials, or what kind of other information is on these cards?
Yeah. So one example, if I pull up my phone real fast, I was taking a photo of the Quibbler. Let me find it. The Quibbler, published by Xenophilius Lovegood. 5,000 copies were printed on newsprint paper for a tabloid style feel. So it goes a layer deeper than just saying, hey, this is the Quibbler.
Right.
And they do that a lot. And I think, to Tom's point in the interview, this is what the diehard fan will appreciate beyond just being able to see Luna Lovegood's costume, which, of course, the Quibbler is positioned next to. I will say I did have to laugh because in the Hufflepuff section, there's Cedric Diggory, Tonks, and then in the middle, just Hufflepuff student, which the photo is of Ernie Macmillan.
Yeah.
But it just says Hufflepuff student.
Look, there's always an opportunity for MuggleCast hosts to be consultants on these things. That's just a mention I'm going to throw out there. We could have pointed out Ernie Macmillan. But yeah, that's hilarious, actually. But I'm glad to see or to hear you say that it is still very costume heavy, because that to me is what justified the first exhibition, because of the level of detail that you otherwise would not see on some of these costumes. In particular, the one I always go back to from the original exhibition was the Bloody Baron. The Bloody Baron's like overcoat was so layered and beautiful, but you only ever see him, first of all, transparent. Second of all, from a distance, maybe like in one of the film's background shots. But when you look at it and you're like a foot in front of it, you can see just the insane amounts of texture and pattern and all of that that's been worked into it. And it really is astounding to see how much work goes into each of these costumes and props. And so the exhibition was literally like this expose for me of the level of how deep the creativity runs in the film franchise that we all know.
Yeah, you definitely get a sense for that. And in the interview with Tom, I think he references just how Voldemort's costume changed over the course of the films that he was in. And you do see one of his costumes, I believe it's from Deathly Hallows, as well as, and this is just calling out some of the other costumes that are there, Bellatrix, Lupin, Snape, Slughorn, McGonagall, Dumbledore from King's Cross, as well as Harry from King's Cross. All of the Triwizard champions from, believe it's the first task. So you get Cedric, Crumb, Fleur, and Harry. I mentioned the costumes from the Fantastic Beasts series. There's also Albus and Scorpius from Cursed Child, as well as Hermione from Cursed Child.
Cool.
So you do get a really nice kind of diverse cross-section of costumes in this exhibition. The interactive experience, probably my favorite, is one of the first rooms that you go into, and it's really the first opportunity you get to scan that RFID bracelet, and that is the Marauders map, and having your name pop up on the Marauders map as if you're at Hogwarts. I think that was a really, really nice touch on the part of this exhibition. You can also use it for brewing a potion, and I believe I went with the Draught of Living Death, but you can do Felix Felicis, Love Potion, and I think
cool.
There's one other. You can fight a boggart.
Nice.
Inside of a wardrobe.
And you didn't do that, or you did do that?
I did that. Yeah, of course.
Oh, because we just did that on of course, our chapter by chapter. So
yeah, you can cast your Patronus, which again, you choose at the start of the exhibition. There is a crystal ball within the divination space. And if you scan your bracelet, you can see your face in the crystal ball, and then it whispers to you some sort of prophecy. So I did not hear that, but I was told that that is what happens. And then at the very end, you get to do a really cool dueling sequence like Harry and Voldemort in Deathly Hallows Part 2. So a lot of interactive, very fun things to do. There's photo ops along the way too. There's a really big armchair in Hagrid's hut.
Right.
Which, by the way, Hagrid's hut is most likely outside of the Marauders map my favorite area, because it just smells like firewood. And they did a cool job just making you feel like you're literally standing inside of his hut.
That's really cool. Yeah. How does this experience for you compare to the much more recent, you were in like the Forbidden Forest experience that was in New York?
Yeah. It's different because you're outdoors. And so I think that for that experience, it was a totally different one. And so I would say that temperature control is definitely a positive, because it was cold when I went.
Right, yeah.
But it's two totally different types of experiences. I think that they did a great job with the Forbidden Forest, as well as
because Chicago has a Harry Potter exhibition-ish sort of experience, immersive Harry Potter experience, I think I'll call it, called Harry Potter Magic at Play. And it's set up where you go through various rooms and environments from the films, loosely films, and then also there's tons of photo ops. And it's so funny to see how Harry Potter touring has changed from no photos, please, to, here's a photo of
to get it up on
get up
social
on a
as fast as you
broom
can.
on a
Tag
broom
us.
in front of a green screen. Was there any Quidditch feature at this thing?
There is a Quidditch feature. You can throw the quaffle through the rings.
Yes. See, that's what Harry Potter fans want. That and their name on the Marauders map is enough to please me.
Oh, yeah. I think you would thoroughly enjoy this. And you mentioned the Great Hall, which is positioned behind me here. There is a screen, as you can tell, but then they also did a really nice job setting up a couple tables with some silverware, some diningware. They have the floating candles above. And one of the things I did not notice, and you can maybe tell me this because I know you've been to the studio tour in London,
yes,
is the gargoyles are actually the house sigils. Now, I'm not sure if this was done just for the purposes of this exhibition or that's how it is in the films, and I just never noticed. But that was something that I picked up on.
That's amazing. So they just have a shield that has a specific crest, or?
No, so and maybe I'll show you a photo, but the actual, imagine a gargoyle, but the gargoyle is in the shape of a badger or a snake.
Oh, no. Wow.
And they're holding the lanterns. You can kind of see one behind me over here.
Yeah.
But it's a little dark. So I can send you a photo. But again,
yeah, I'd have to take a closer look.
A really nice touch that Harry Potter fans will appreciate. And as I'm talking, I'm remembering things. Going into Umbridge's office, they have "I must not tell lies" kind of scrawled into the wall, and then a really cool surprise for people. Well, maybe cool is not the right word. I posted this video on Instagram story, but as you're going through Umbridge's office, you can turn around and you'll see the door with Mad Eye's eye in the door.
Too soon.
So again, the level of detail is really, really cool. Interactive wise, there's also a port key experience where you touch the port key and it takes you to a new and different area. Presumably, I'm sure they have maybe like 5 or 10 that they cycle through. But yeah, I'd say and all it probably takes about, if you're really pacing yourself, maybe like an hour to go through.
Okay. And I think the big key here, 2-word phrase that'll attract a lot of people: exclusive merchandise.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised by the level of merchandise. Now, I haven't seen the jacket that Tom was wearing, but I kind of want to.
Yeah. So the jacket he was wearing was very cool. It was a Quidditch Letterman's jacket, which I would assume is part of that exclusive merchandise to this exhibition. And he told me, I think somewhere between 80 to 90% of the merchandise at this exhibition is exclusive to this location. So you can only get it there. And the great thing is that store is open regardless of whether or not you're going to the exhibition itself. So you can go in just to get that Letterman's jacket or any of the other merchandise is there. One of the things that was unique was that they used a lot of kind of stained glass type of artwork for the house sigils, and they leaned into that a lot in the merchandise. So I think that's part of what made it unique from anything else that you could get. And I got a chance to meet at the reception the man responsible for creating a lot of the merchandise. And I guess he had worked on a lot of the other experiences. So yeah, if you're a fan of the Harry Potter series from the standpoint of merchandise, you're going to want to go here and check it out because there's a lot of cool stuff there. I know Chloe, our social media manager, is going in a couple of weeks, so maybe she can do a merchandise exclusive for us.
Yeah, maybe. So just wrapping up, where do people go to get tickets? And you said this is in Herald Square in New York, Manhattan?
Yeah. So as far as tickets, there is the website that I've seen is new-york.harrypotterexhibition.com. We'll link to it in the show notes, make it super easy for people to find. They're also on all of your social media channels that you would expect. So very easy to find. And I would say too, from a price point perspective, it is very affordable. I was looking through the prices, especially during the week. And we saw this too with the Forbidden Forest exhibition that you mentioned earlier. During the week is a much easier time, I think, for most folks to be able to get affordable tickets. Once you get towards the weekends, those prices are going to scale, and I think that's just normal.
Yeah.
But it starts at $30. So for everything that I was talking about, and if you're looking for something to do that's Harry Potter related in New York City, and it's not going to price you out, because you think about Cursed Child, and by no means am I discouraging people from going to see it, but that can be a pricey ticket. And I know that there are other discount methods available for that as well, but certainly, affordable to go to this exhibition. And I would highly recommend it. Yeah, it's really in the Midtown area. It's accessible, which I think is obviously very important for something like this. We were joking about how it's very close to the Empire State Building, so they get a lot of spillover tourists that will just come right in. And as Tom mentioned, the store that's in the Flatiron will be there forever, but this exhibition will not. So it's worth coming by and checking it out, and it'll be there. Right now, the plan is through summer, so probably into the early fall window. And I'm assuming, it could get extended depending on how it does, but we know that a lot of listeners make travel plans for the summer. If you're planning to go to New York, it'll be there. So definitely check it out.
Well, cool. I'm glad you went. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what to expect. I still had a little bit of trauma, I guess, from the from the original exhibition. Don't take
no
any
photos, please. Yeah.
But there were Horcruxes there, to your point earlier, because the reason I mentioned that is what I believe I tried to take a photo of and was told not to. But the diary is there. The locket is there. The Deathly Hallows has a very cool setup. They did a really nice kind of rendering with the Resurrection Stone, the Elder Wand, and the Invisibility Cloak, which, there's a joke about that, but I'll let people see it for themselves when they go. And, speaking of wands, the last thing I'll mention is there is a wand room where they have many of the wands from the Harry Potter series, also the ones that you yourself chose. So as I mentioned, I chose Grindelwald's wand, and they created next to the actual wand itself probably like a 12-foot replica of the actual wand. So you get this for every character that's in the room, and it's really, really cool. That's something I don't think they necessarily needed to do, but it's.
What do you mean 12-foot replica?
So imagine a case with Grindelwald's wand in it or Voldemort's wand in it, which is the actual wand from the movies. But then to the left or to the right of it, there's actually a 12-foot standing replica of that person's wand.
A 12-foot wand. I'm just trying to physically, I'm trying to imagine this. So they have that with multiple, there's like six 12-foot wands in the room.
It's probably more than that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I would almost say it's almost like floor to ceiling. So it might even be bigger than that, but
giant wands. Well, it's going to have to be something that you have to see for yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sounds good. If I make it to New York this summer, I'll hit you up. Is there butterbeer, by the way, or any kind of refreshments?
So
I know. Yeah.
There is not any refreshments. So that was the one thing that I was looking to see if they did. I mean, there were refreshments at the VIP reception.
Right. But
I actually had a drink called the Basilisk.
Oh.
Yeah. I have no clue what was in it. So it was green. That's all I know. It could have had
any Horcrux inside you would have shriveled up.
Yeah, it might have been absinthe for all I know. But and I had some Dragon Balls too. They were very creative with what they were serving. But yeah, there's no food and drink available, at least for right now, on location that I saw. All the merch was, mostly clothing and other little trinkets. So
always good to know. I'd say families with kids, bring some snacks.
Yeah.
You know, keep your kid happy so there's not any screaming that interrupts other interviews in the future that may be going on there. But honestly, thanks, Micah, for putting this all together and going and providing this footage. It's nice to have this mini MuggleCast. We will be back with regular MuggleCast next week as planned, where we're going through Chapter 10 of Prisoner of Azkaban, chapter by chapter, the Marauders map. So your favorite part of the exhibition.
Very appropriate. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's cool. You sent a video of your name on the wall, and I thought that was really cool. It's like they knew exactly what we would have wanted.
Yeah. They did a great job. And thanks to Tom for taking a couple minutes of his time, which I'm sure was a very busy time for him, but you could tell just super excited and very passionate about the project. And we're glad that he was able to join us for this mini cast.
Definitely. And if you, the listener, want more new material this week from MuggleCast, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/MuggleCast, where there's a brand new bonus MuggleCast episode talking about the latest updates of the Harry Potter theme park in Florida, and what it might mean that Disney had to close their overpriced Star Wars experience. So will there be a Hogwarts hotel one day? I don't know. We talk about all that and more on Patreon, as well as many, 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 many other things historically, which are all available to our subscribers. And very shortly, I think Mike and I can tease, we're going to be announcing this year's physical gift.
Yeah.
Very, very soon.
It's
which
coming.
Is available to our Slug Club patrons.
I think it might actually be on this next episode, or am I making that up?
Ooh, maybe.
I think it is.
I'm not sure. It hasn't happened yet, so we can't tease it. But we can tease it, but I don't know for sure. But yes, it's coming soon. We think you'll be very happy with that and be very excited. So thank you all for listening. I'm Eric.
And I'm Micah.
And we'll catch you next week.
Bye.
Choo-choo.